Title: Why Some People Always End Up as the Group Organizer. Someone suggests, "We should all hang out soon," and suddenly everyone's looking at you expectantly. A group chat starts with vague plans for dinner, and somehow you're the one researching restaurants, checking schedules, and making reservations. Your friends want to plan a trip, and before you know it, you're coordinating flights, booking accommodations, and creating detailed itineraries, while everyone else just shows up. While others seem comfortable with loose plans and spontaneous decisions, you automatically become the person who makes things actually happen. You're not trying to control everything. You're not necessarily the most qualified person to organize events. Your brain just seems wired to notice when group plans need structure and coordination, and you feel compelled to provide that structure even when you'd rather just be a regular participant. Let's start with what's actually happening when you become the default organizer. Most people in groups are comfortable with ambiguity and assume that plans will somehow work out without specific coordination. But your brain sees all the details that need to be managed and feels anxious when no one else is handling them. So you step in to prevent chaos. It's like you have built-in project management software that automatically activates in group situations. While others think this sounds fun, someone will figure out the details. You're already mentally listing everything that needs to be coordinated: timing, logistics, reservations, communication, backup plans for when things go wrong. And here's something that happens to people who always organize. You probably learned early that if you want something to happen properly, you need to take responsibility for making it happen. Maybe you grew up in circumstances where adults didn't organize activities well, or you discovered that your planning prevented disappointment and problems for everyone. Think about how this affects your experience of group activities. While everyone else gets to be excited about the fun parts, you're managing logistics, worrying about details, and feeling responsible for everyone else's good time. You often work hardest during the planning phase, while others contribute mainly during the enjoyment phase. The tendency to become the organizer often comes from what psychologists call responsibility diffusion anxiety. When no one is clearly in charge of group coordination, you feel uncomfortable with the uncertainty and potential for things to go wrong, so you assume responsibility to reduce that anxiety. You probably have strong organizational skills and actually enjoy planning when it's for yourself or your own projects. But when you're organizing for groups, it can feel like unpaid work that everyone else benefits from, while you handle all the stress of coordination and decision-making. Research from Dr. Blatane on social loafing shows that people in groups often reduce their individual effort because they assume others will handle responsibilities. Group organizers emerge partly because someone needs to counteract this diffusion of responsibility, and certain personality types are more likely to take on that role. But here's what's really happening. When you become the default organizer, you're not just helping the group, you're managing your own anxiety about uncertainty and potential disappointment. Taking control of planning gives you some power over outcomes and reduces the chance that poor coordination will ruin experiences you care about. And there's this thing about people-pleasing that often drives organizing behavior. You want everyone to have a good time, and you've learned that good experiences usually require thoughtful planning. You'd rather do the work of organization than risk having people be disappointed with poorly planned events. You know that feeling when you suggest that someone else should organize something and everyone just stares at you blankly? Other people often don't even recognize all the work that goes into coordination, so they can't imagine taking it on themselves. They see organizing as something that just happens naturally rather than as actual labor. Here's something interesting about people who become group organizers. You often have what psychologists call high conscientiousness. You naturally think ahead, consider details, and feel responsible for outcomes. These are valuable leadership qualities, but they can also make you feel burdened by group coordination responsibilities. Studies show that consistent organizers often have perfectionist tendencies and high standards for how events should go. You organize because you can envision how things could be better with proper planning, and you can't tolerate the possibility of preventable problems or disappointments. Think about how others in your groups relate to planning and organization. They probably appreciate your efforts, but don't fully understand the mental energy required to coordinate group activities. They benefit from your work without recognizing it as work, which can create resentment when you feel taken for granted. The organizing role often falls to people who have lower tolerance for ambiguity and uncertainty. When plans are vague or undefined, you feel stressed in ways that others don't, so you create structure and clarity to manage your own discomfort with unresolved logistics. And here's something that makes the organizing burden heavier over time. Once you become known as the organizer in your social circles, people start automatically expecting you to handle coordination for every group activity. What started as helping out occasionally becomes an assumed responsibility that's hard to escape. Most people who end up as organizers are also highly empathetic and think carefully about others' needs and preferences. You probably spend significant time considering what everyone in the group would enjoy, accommodate different schedules and requirements, and try to create experiences that work well for everyone involved. But there's a social cost to always being the organizer. You become the person people contact when they want something planned, but you might feel like your relationships are based more on your usefulness than on genuine connection. Friends come to you with their ideas, but expect you to handle the execution. Research reveals that group organizers often experience what's called emotional labor, the invisible work of managing other people's experiences and feelings. You're not just coordinating logistics, you're managing group dynamics, anticipating needs, and taking responsibility for everyone's satisfaction. You probably have mixed feelings about your organizing role. Part of you enjoys being helpful and creating good experiences for people you care about. But another part of you wishes others would take initiative occasionally, so you could just participate without feeling responsible for coordination. The goal isn't to stop organizing altogether or to become someone who doesn't care about planning. Your organizational skills are genuinely valuable and create better experiences for everyone involved. But you deserve to have others share the responsibility occasionally and to participate in activities without always being the person who makes them happen. You might try explicitly asking others to take turns organizing, or suggesting that someone else handle coordination for specific events. Many people avoid organizing because they assume you prefer doing it, not because they don't want to contribute to group planning. And honestly, there's something admirable about people who step up to handle the invisible work that makes group activities successful. Your willingness to organize creates connections and experiences that wouldn't happen without someone taking responsibility for coordination. So next time you find yourself automatically taking on organizing duties, remember that your planning skills and sense of responsibility are valuable contributions to your social groups. You're not being controlling or compulsive. You're providing leadership that others benefit from, even when they don't fully recognize it. You deserve appreciation for the coordination work you do, and you deserve opportunities to participate in well-planned activities that someone else organizes. Your organizational abilities are gifts that make other people's lives better, not burdens you have to carry alone. Are you someone who always ends up organizing group activities, or do you prefer when others handle the planning? What do you think makes some people naturally take on coordination responsibilities, while others are comfortable just showing up? Let me know, because I suspect there are more reluctant organizers out there than groups realize. To get more psychology content like this in your feed, please subscribe, hit the like button, and share your experiences with us. You'll be supporting our efforts too. Thanks for watching.